Coming up on this episode of 101 Sports.
We discussed the Lakers pulling the upset even the Thunder couldn't pull.
Plus, we go to the lounge to discuss the most underrated sports, and our MLS experts take to the pitch to look back at opening weekend.
And our experts take a look at the best SportsCenter commercials of all time.
All that and so much more.
And it all starts
right now.
Welcome to this episode of 101 Sports. I'm your new host, Stephen A. Harris.
And I'm Connor Delpreet. We here at 101 Sports wish you all at Elon a happy Elon Day. Here's the starting five.
After an illustrious 18-year NFL career, Peyton Manning is calling it quits. This past Monday, the Denver Broncos quarterback officially has announced his retirement from the NFL at a press conference. This two-time Super Bowl champion will retire as the all-time leader for most touchdown passes at 539 and most passing yards with just under 72,000. Manning is also tied with Brett Favre for most NFL wins with 186 and is a five-time MVP. So Connor, when it's all said and done, how should we remember Peyton Manning?
How should he be remembered? He should be remembered as a guy that changed what it meant to be a quarterback. Peyton's mind was his greatest asset, and the ability to recognize defensive formations, call the audible, and get his wide receivers open for touchdowns was unseen before. We hadn't seen that before a guy like Manning came into the league, and it resulted in success. I could tell you all the statistics he leads in, but you already said that when you introed the question. The success was contagious as well. He made his teammates Hall of Famers.
Absolutely, I agree. I think he should go down as the second best quarterback at all time, and I think that's going to make those New Englanders out there at Elon a little upset because I think Tom Brady's underneath him right now. I mean, he's got 200 total wins if you include the playoffs. I mean, that's just something we didn't even mention. He's got all the records. He's got 2 times. He's walking out as a champion. I mean, he twice had the touchdown for regular season mark, which he currently has at 55. Just ridiculous numbers all around the board.
We obviously can't forget about the HGH scandal and the locker room scandal in college, but it doesn't take away from his on-the-field abilities.
And those were all in college anyway. We're talking about his NFL legacy.
Right, exactly. Last week, New York Yankees closer Aroldis Chapman was given a 30-game suspension by Major League Baseball for his role in a domestic violence incident involving his girlfriend. The suspension will go into effect on opening day, but Chapman can still participate in all spring training and preseason games. What kind of message, if any, do you think Commissioner Rob Manfred is sending?
So I have to give Manfred a little bit of defense on this because nothing's really been settled. So it would be harsh for him to give like a full season suspension for anything without anything really being settled.
Right.
However, I still think a 30-game suspension is just a little too weak. I mean, anytime you're involved in a domestic abuse allegations, it should be just at least 50 games.
Especially if he accepted the suspension.
Especially. That's what I'm saying. And he's admitted that he has done things wrong. While it's not settled that he abused anyone, he's definitely admitted that he's done something wrong.
A 30-game suspension is less than 20% of the season. Players get 50 games for their first instance of doping. And I think it's safe to say that a domestic violence incident with your girlfriend is just as serious as doping if we're looking at the integrity of the league and the integrity of the players in the game.
Especially since he's a pitcher. I know he's a closing pitcher, so he's going to pitch more than once every 5 games, but he's still not going to be, it's not like he's an everyday player who's missing a full 30 games. He's really missing maybe 25, something like that. So it's really just kind of a minimal suspension. It's not really setting up anything.
Exactly.
Former Ohio State cornerback Eli Apple, who is considered to be a first-round pick in this year's draft, recently told reporters that a coach on the Atlanta Falcons staff has asked him an extremely personal question about his sexual orientation at this year's NFL Combine. Head coach Dan Quinn has since rebuked what he called, quote, inappropriate actions, end quote, of the unknown assistant coach. And the NFL is currently investigating the situation. So Connor, what does this kind of say about what we got going on moving forward and a little bit about progression in the NFL?
What it tells me is that change takes time, and I hate this. I hate that the question was asked. I hate that this was the first question that was asked when that young man walked into the room. That is despicable. And what this shows us is that 2 years ago when the first openly gay NFL player was drafted in Michael Sam, that was a big change for the NFL, and there are people in the league who just can't get used to change as quickly as we'd like them to.
And I think this is proving that there's still a few bad apples. So what do you got to do with those bad apples? You got to chop them off the tree for the sake of the rest of the tree. So I think wherever this coach goes, he's got to go because this isn't it's illegal, number one, to ask someone about their sexual orientation. So they got to get rid of this. They got to get this out and just get rid of these bad apples.
It's certainly a serious situation. I hate to see it happen in the NFL. UFC 196 came to life Saturday night, and the crowd was treated to its fair share of major upsets. The women's bantamweight title was taken from Holly Holm by Miesha Tate via submission in the 5th round. Meanwhile, Nate Diaz took down UFC bannerman Conor McGregor in the second round of their fight, McGregor's first loss since 2010. With these two titans both failing, what kind of impact does this have on the sport?
There's nothing more that we in the media like to talk about than just some polarizing figure. Well, UFC just lost both of its top polarizing figures on both the women and the men's side. So what this says to me is that they need to find someone quick, or all of the popularity UFC gained from Ronda Rousey first, handed off to Holly Holm and Conor McGregor, all of that popularity gain, it's going to plummet, because we saw the same thing with golf when Tiger Woods fell, because we lost that one single polarizing figure.
Right.
And every sport needs at least one.
I worry that if they find this new polarizing figure, he or she's not going to last. I think if you're a fan, you got to forget having favorites, because they're going to be gone the way this is going, especially with Conor McGregor, a guy who I thought he was so dominant. He was a demon. I could barely watch half the fights because he beat up those guys.
And we saw the same thing with Ronda Rousey when she was finishing everybody up in a minute.
Exactly. He was truly dominant, and pride cometh before a fall. He got confident. He made one misstep, and that's what happens with this sport. It's such a technique game that if you make one misstep, you're gone. This is like a Game of Thrones episode, if you ask me. Your favorite character is going to be gone soon, so you might
Exactly. It's just like, hopefully they can find someone, because I'm actually really starting to get into UFC, and I'm really enjoying the popularity that's coming too.
Exactly.
Led by a young backcourt of Jordan Clarkson and D'Angelo Russell, the LA Lakers pulled off a historic upset that gave the Golden Warriors their 6th loss of the season this past Sunday. The Warriors are still on track to surpass the 95-96 Bulls' 72-win season, but they are now only ahead of the San Antonio Spurs by a small margin for first place in the NBA, and home court advantage is slipping through their fingers. So Connor, what this kind of says is, what does this mean for the Golden State Warriors trying to get that 73-win mark?
I think this might be a blessing in disguise. It might put the fire under them that they really needed. It was getting to the point where we were almost blinking an eye. We wouldn't even blink an eye when they won. And I don't think the Warriors were either. So this really wakes them up and makes them realize that, hey, we have issues. We turn the ball over too much. We don't play as good a defense as we used to. And so if they fix these problems, I think they have a favorable schedule coming up.
See, I got to completely disagree, because they're playing the Spurs 3 times.
Yeah.
They've gotten blown out in almost all of their losses, except for that one to the Nuggets that was only by 2. They've gotten blown out, and they've gotten into a lot more close games. They need 4 losses to tie it. And with them getting exposed as badly as it is, I'm starting to think the dream might just be dead. I say if they get another loss in the next week, the dream's dead.
But I mean, they play 14 games against teams that are under 500. I mean, if they lost 3 times to the Spurs, they would have still one more loss to give out. And I don't think there's a team.
They're playing the Mavericks in Dallas, where they've gotten blown out already this season. I mean, they got a lot of opportunities
I will say,
to get those 4 losses.
Those last 4 games are going to be tough for sure on the Warriors.
So, we got to take a little bit of caution. We can't blink an eye anymore. That's all we have for the quick hitters. But coming up, Connor goes to the pitch with our MLS experts.
The MLS is officially underway, and joining me at the desk is Jenny Berman and Connor Cummings to break it down with a unique game called Put It in the Mixer. Each question will be the equivalent of a cross into the box, and talent will debate each question. Winner scores a goal, and the most goals win. So let's start with opening weekend. In 2015, 16 goals were scored in 10 games. This weekend, 36 goals in 10 games. Granted, the goals weren't great. They were ugly, a lot of lapses on defense. So is this criticism of the MLS's defense playing poorly worthy, Connor?
No, I don't think so. I mean, you're coming off of 4 months of the offseason. Teams are a bit rusty, and the teams that, so the defense, which is the harder of the 2 offensive defense to play in soccer, is going to be a bit down. In addition, some of the teams that racked up big goals, like the LA Galaxy, were frustrated after their big losses to Mexican teams in the CONCACAF Champions League. Right. So they wanted to get that frustration out on the other team.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think you're just going to find that teams are rusty. It's a long season. It's just the first weekend. Everybody's working things out. Some teams brought out new formations. Everyone's just kind of learning and getting ready to play real competitive games. You're never going to see your best soccer the first weekend.
All right, so no goals scored there. You guys said basically the same thing, so we'll end in a tie there. Good old soccer tie on that one. So moving from the teams and defenses to a single player, Didier Drogba, who's a Montreal Impact player this year, he won't be playing a lot because of a fear of injury. So he's going to miss a couple games this season. What does this mean for Montreal, Jenny?
I don't think it means that much. Obviously, losing a player like Drogba, who's world caliber, that's a tough loss, but they still have great offensive talent. They're still a really strong defensive team. They haven't really lost anybody there. They're the same veteran back line. If they can keep goals out, it doesn't really matter if they're losing a great goal scorer, because they'll be able to make up for it in other ways.
Yeah, and we saw this past weekend, Ignacio Piatti, their center attacking midfielder, kind of took over the game. And I think they're going to continue to do well, but I don't think they're going to do that well until we can play more long term. They'll hover around. They finished the the 4th spot in the Eastern Conference last year, and I kind of see them at that point until later in the season when Drogba comes back, where they could really push for the title.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that you're going to see that they want to play the long game really with Drogba. They're looking to really go for the championship. They want to win the entire league. So they're going to want to look to see him playing more later on in the season.
Yeah.
That's when they're going to want to push him.
I'll give the goal to Connor here just because I think Drogba is such a huge impact player that they are going to struggle in the beginning, but I think they'll pick it up in the end, especially when he comes back on the field. So last season, no one was really dominant, with the supporter shields only mustering up 60 points in 34 games. So do you see this happening again this season, or is there a clear frontrunner here? Connor?
You're never going to have a dominant team in Major League Soccer. Given the salary cap structure in the league, you have to look back until 2005 to have a team that averaged more than 2 points a game. Even the legendary LA Galaxy team of 2011 with David Beckham, Robbie Keane, Landon Donovan only averaged 1.9 points a game and got 67 points on the season. You're not going to see a dominant team emerge in Major League Soccer given the salary cap restraints. And the parity is what makes this league special.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, kind of that watching this league, you want to see that parity. You don't want it to be that you kind of know going into a game who's going to win, who's going to lose, like you kind of see in the European leagues. You want it to be that surprise. You want it to be a game where you can say, I don't really know who's going to win necessarily, and that's why you really want to watch Major League Soccer.
Last year, Portland and Columbus played in the final. The Philadelphia Union, the 3rd worst team in the league last year, beat both of them at one point of the season 3-0.
Absolutely.
Every game is a different game.
Absolutely. All right, well, again, no goal scored there. You guys said the same thing. So, Jenny, unfortunately, you lost on a 1-goal thriller. But, Connor, congratulations on the win. Well done, both of you. Well done, both of you. That's all the time we have for MLS, but stick around as Steven comes back to the desk to talk golf and politics. You don't want to miss this.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your closet. Still no jobs, just more stuff? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed. And they're the stuff inside your stuff. Our job is to unlock those jobs. And it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover keytar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course.
Turn here. There. Excuse me.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course.
Put away a few bucks, feel like $1,000,000. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
In the midst of the political elections, it feels like you can't go a day without hearing something about those guys. Well, here at 101 Sports, some things just stay the same. I'm here with Rajat Agarwal, and we're going to figure out if golfers were politicians from today, who would they be and why? So, Rajat, we're going to start off with the big man himself, Mr. Hairpiece Wig, we're not really sure. Donald Trump. Give me a golfer that's just like Donald.
So he doesn't have the hair, but I don't know if you can call it crazy or whatever word you want to describe it. He matches up perfectly. And it started back in college. I'm going with Patrick Reed. Right now he's ranked 18th in the world. He's on the rise. Donald Trump, some say, could be on the rise. He had to transfer from Georgia when he was in college. No one knows why. It was a mysterious transfer, but he won when he transferred to Augusta State. The next instance I think fits him best. When he's at the Ryder Cup, shushed the European crowd. Just straight up shush after a birdie putt. Just shh. Crowd went crazy, all over him, heckled him. That was a perfect comparison. This next one is equally as crazy. His wife, get this, his wife kicked out his parents from the U.S. Open on the 18th hole.
This all sounds a little bit too much like the
This
Donovan.
sounds pretty close.
This is a little bit terrifying for me, so I kind of want to get away from this before I find out a little bit more about Patrick Reed. We're going to move over to Mr. Anti-Wall Street himself, Mr. Senator Bernie Sanders. Give me his golfing comp.
The first thing that sticks out is that he's 74 years old. So what golfer on the PGA Tour is either that old or been around for way too long? And that guy is Ernie Els, the Big Easy. All right, he's only 46 years old, but he turned pro in 1989. If my math's right, that's 27 years. That is way too long. He's on the downhill slope. Now, Bernie Sanders is hanging in there. He's doing all right. Obviously, he has a one-on-one battle right now, but Ernie Els is dropping 184th. Why I compare them? He needs a second wave of energy. He's about to hit that number 50 years old. He needs the over-the-hill second boost. Bernie Sanders right now is trailing. He needs a boost.
Well, like Ernie Els, who needs to move on? We're going to move on to the next one. The Miss Hillary Clinton. Give me your golfer.
This one is actually a freakishly close comparison. I'm going with Christy Kerr. She is the highest grossing American women's golfer in terms of money. And the similarity is their support for breast cancer. Christy Kerr this year was awarded a breast cancer award. It was called the NBC Award, NBCC, National Breast Cancer Coalition Award, and Hillary Clinton actually got the same award. So that's pretty unique, I think. And Christy Kerr has risen to number 1 before, one of the top golfers in the country. Hillary Clinton arguably is winning her primary.
That money thing doesn't really help either because we know, as Senator Sanders teaches us, that Hillary Clinton's got all the super PACs. But we're going to move on to our final guy, Mr. Texas, Mr. Ted Cruz. Give me your golfer.
This one might be a little harsh, but I've got to go with Dustin Johnson because he always goes for silver, similar to how Ted Cruz is right now going for silver. Donald Trump is in first. Ted Cruz is battling Rubio and John Kasich for second place. Dustin Johnson almost settles for second place. I mean, runner-up finishes in the 2011 British Open, runner-up finish in the 2015 U.S. Open. This guy cannot win. And right now it seems like the second-tier pack in the Republican Party cannot win either.
Well, hopefully Dustin Johnson can kind of go over that home. I don't know if Ted Cruz can, but we'll let the politics work themselves out. Well, now I'm only seeing red, blue, and green. But hopefully these golfers stick to golfing and stay away from the politics. Stay tuned as Connor goes over to the lounge with our experts to discuss some of the most underrated sports.
Welcome back to One-on-One Sports. The beauty of this organization is that our members know a lot about more than just the big 4 or 5 sports. Our experts Megan Podgorski, Evan Piercy, and Tyler Patchen join me in the lounge to discuss the best underrated sport. Megan, I'll let you kick it off.
Well, I'm going to go with the sport that started off all intercollegiate sports, rowing. It's an Olympic sport. It's huge in high schools, especially private high schools across the country. Yeah. And it's a huge college sport, Title IX sport. It's full body workout, cardio, muscles. It's exciting to watch. I'm going to go rowing.
All right.
Honestly, you're the first person I've met that has rowed.
I do.
I don't know anyone else who has rowed at all.
From the north?
I'm not. I'm from Virginia, but still,
Interesting. That's why.
Okay. That's why. So it's like divisional thing, right? North-south type thing.
You have to be near water.
I am near water.
Well, you have to be near calm enough water.
Okay.
You can't be like rowing in the Atlantic Ocean. That would have
or the James River.
Atlantic Ocean probably wouldn't work.
Exactly. That would be a little gross.
Well, the sport I think that I feel is severely underrated, but not in one place where it's native to. It's the sport of hurling, which is native to Ireland. It is actually one of the oldest sports in the world. It was played by the ancient Celts almost 2,000-3,000 years ago. But now its modern perception of it is you play with an axe-shaped stick. You play on this basically 2 sizes of a soccer pitch, and it combines lacrosse, field hockey, and almost a bit of baseball as well.
Wow.
You're basically running along with a stick.
It's a big field. That seems like a lot of running.
It's huge, but you're playing with these wooden sticks and you're whacking at each other, you're running around. I mean, you're watching this and it's
So it's like a high contact lacrosse.
It's a high contact lacrosse. It's intense, but it is fun to watch. But
check that out.
It is. It's awesome. And actually there's also Gaelic clubs around the world that actually you can play hurling.
Now I'm going to go to a sport, not many people know about it, but Gaga, and not Lady Gaga, but GA-GA. It's a sport out of Israel. It's big. It's fun. Yeah, not many people know about it.
I disagree with it. It just looks dangerous and stupid.
It's not stupid. Look, ABC televised a Gaga tournament. There's a Gaga club located in New York where people will form teams, get there, and have huge Gaga tournaments.
Was it on like at 1 a.m.?
No, it's not.
Was it on the Ocho?
No, it wasn't. Not on the Ocho,
Are we sure?
It was actually on ABC. They televised it. So it's
so it couldn't even get on ESPN?
Well, I haven't seen rowing on ESPN lately, have you?
It actually is televised.
Only on the Olympics, every 4 years?
And the head of the Charles.
Oh my gosh.
Hurling's over here not getting attacked.
Well, hurling,
Hurling's not even on television.
No, it's on RTE. It's on.
What is RTE?
Is it in the
RTE
Olympics?
is the national television station of
Olympics?
Ireland.
Yeah,
Not to mention people from all over
Yours
the world
isn't even
go
in
for
the
the
Olympics.
All-Ireland final,
Does
so
the
it is
national
a huge thing.
Does the
It's also the
do you
final.
get it on cable?
You can get
it
it on cable in Ireland.
Guys, both neither of your sports are like huge around the world and mine is. So I think I win.
Gaga's on its way.
But my sports final has a huge turnout every
year. Now it's
year.
the United States. It's being passed down. It's all over the
But
country.
ours has been all over since 1800s.
I'm going to give my little input here. I think lacrosse is the most underrated sport. I might be a little biased playing it in high school, but I think it's not as dangerous as hurling, and it's on TV a little bit more often. So
Just a little
go with
Really?
that. Well, next time I'm up at 4 a.m., I'll certainly be looking to check in on any of these 3 sports. Up next, Stephen is joined at the desk to talk about some of our analysts' favorite commercials.
All right. I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. Okay. So who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice.
And I'll try to get the generator going without any gas.
Oh, let's not forget the cell phones, which probably won't work.
Right.
And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
Well, I think we couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
Wow, these are really good.
You act surprised.
Practice makes perfect. You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who don't need perfection. They need you.
No thanks, Dad. I got it.
Okay. I'm gonna go fix the lamp in your room.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of children in foster care who will take you just as you are.
I've got a job to do today.
I've got a job to do today.
Have a good first day at work, Mom.
Your donations to Goodwill fund job training programs right in your community.
Feels good to start fresh, right?
Sure does. And like that, you're a job creator.
SportsCenter has some of the best commercials on television. From AD to the New Jersey Devil going down. With so many commercials to choose from, it might be hard to pick from the best ones. But that's exactly what we're going to do. I'm here with Kyle Zarzan and Andrew Zung, and they're going to give you their top 3 SportsCenter commercials of all time. So Andrew, I'm going to start with you. Let me hear your number 3.
My number 3, it goes back to the classic era when the commercials first started coming out. You have Dan Patrick and Stuart Scott, and you have the Big Buddy Club. We can all relate to it. You're an adult playing with some of the younger kids, and you just see Stuart Scott, Dan Patrick, and some other guys go off on these kids. It's hilarious, and it kind of utilizes what ESPN wanted you to see back in 1994 when they started these commercials.
Definitely a great commercial there. Definitely a great commercial. But it reminds me of the Peyton Manning United Way commercial. that he did with SNL. And I'm going to kick my countdown off with the Manning brothers touring the ESPN facility. Anybody who has a brother loves this commercial.
Yeah, but the
Wet
thing is, that
Willies,
it's not even just
shoves.
with the brother, though, because Eli and Peyton have done so many commercials, and this is even one of their top 5 best commercials. You have other ones that are a lot funny with them rapping, or the Oreos one where they're competing. I feel like with that commercial, you expect Peyton and Eli to go around with.
I can't deny that that the Manning brothers don't kill it in their commercials. So you gotta give it up. But this isn't a competition, so it's all good. Kyle, let me hear your number 2.
All right, my number 2, I'm looking at Manny being Manny. In an era where we got Manny cutting off Johnny Damon, we got him high-fiving fans before turning a double play. He's sitting there and he's just eating his lunch. A couple anchors are watching him, and he answers his phone, simply says "Hola," and he's like, their mind is blown.
But the thing is, how's that funny but not really ethnically insensitive? I don't see how that's funny where MLB is a huge sport with a big Hispanic population, Latino. How is that funny where it's just hola? We know back then, I think Manny being Manny, it's funny when he catches an outfield fly, high fives a fan or something like that, but saying hola and laughing, it just seems really insensitive. And we both know that ESPN now would never play that. And for my number 2, the one that I thought was funny was Scott Van Pelt and Jimmy Rollins. And that's a baseball one where Scott Van Pelt's having problems talking, puts his head on the desk and different stuff like that. I feel like that's more funny than making fun of Ola with the baseball player.
Yeah, it's not as much as making fun of Ola, it's the fact that this guy runs the show. He's on his own track.
But I don't think Ola has anything to do with that, and we both know that.
Well, we can agree. They both were some pretty good baseball commercials, and I always love me a little bit of SVP. But I'm coming to you, number 1. Top commercial all time. Let's hear it.
My number 1 favorite commercial is the Andrew McCutchen with the Pirates because I love how they were able to have the mascots. It's funny because when you think of the ESPN commercials, if I work at ESPN, I would love to see some mascots come in, steal some of the different foods, and then when you have Andrew McCutchen of all guys say, "Ponder the locks," it's just so funny with that.
No, it's a great commercial, but anybody with a Pirates uniform could have done that. You didn't need Andrew McCutchen. It wasn't an Andrew McCutchen specific commercial.
Yeah, but that's why you also had ECU, Seton Hall, and you had some other Pirate mascots. And you actually, it's not just baseball, where you kind of included some different universities. And the Pirates are, when you think of Pirates, you think of the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Yeah, that's true. I agree with you on that point. But my top commercial is Soccer in the Office, as it was called. And it's Abby Wambach walking with one of the anchors. And Of course, John Anderson has to come down the hallway, and he passes them, and then he flops. He flops out of nowhere.
It seemed like more of a forced joke because we've seen so many soccer ones. There's so many ESPN soccer ones. And a lot of them are based on, because soccer, you get the penalties quick.
Wait a second. I'm going to tell you guys why you're both wrong, because the all-time greatest commercial is when SVP, my man Scott Van Pelt, just takes King James' throne back when he's in Cleveland. That's the best SportsCenter commercial. So, I got to say
Scott Van Pelt's hilarious.
You're both wrong. That's what I'm saying, exactly. That's all the time we have for this trip down memory lane. Coming up next, Connor rejoins me at the desk where we talk about what would we do if we were lucky enough to find those Ty Cobb cars. Stay tuned. Recently, 7 Ty Cobb baseball cards were discovered by an anonymous family. These 7 cards, named the Lucky 7, along with 15 original Ty Cobb cards, are the only known cards of their kind, which were appraised to be, quote, well into 7 figures. The question I raised to you, Connor, is what would you do if you had all 7 of these cards?
If I had all 7 of these cards, I would keep one because I was a big baseball card fan growing up. I still have them in my closet, just all the different baseball cards, football cards, anything. So a card that valuable, I would keep at least one just for the sake of having it. And then I'd probably sell the rest of the 6, just have all this money, maybe invest it in something, be a little responsible with it, but not too responsible. You got to have fun with it, right?
See, I'm going to be honest with you, I wasn't a big baseball card collector. I was really big into basketball cards.
Okay.
So the sentimental value is not there for me. It's all about the money. So I'm going to say sell one every 10 years or so, get my mill, let it save, burn over, and then imagine what it's going to be worth when I'm ready to retire. I'll have like 1 or 2 left.
See, you're thinking,
I can just sell them and do whatever I want.
You're thinking
in
the future. I just want my money right now, so maybe that's my fatal flaw.
See, exactly. You're going to burn all that money through.
We'll see. That's all the time we have for this episode of 101 Sports. Huge thanks to our producers, crew, and talent for putting on a great show, and also to you, the viewer, for tuning in.
If you miss anything, be sure to check us out on Facebook and follow us on Twitter and Instagram at 101 Sports. Thanks for watching, and until next time,
whose side are you?